So today I'm going to show you how I made my red velvet birthday cake. This is the finished product, and I did film going through the different stages of baking it. So I'm just going to share that with you. And I will see you all tonight at my live YouTube stream for my birthday party, where I am most importantly going to cut this cake and light the candles and all of that good stuff. So I'll see you there. So I started out with 2.5 cups of flour and then added about 1.5 cups of sugar, a teaspoon of salt and baking soda, and then a couple teaspoons of cocoa powder, and then just stirred it up with a fork. Then I took a couple eggs and a cup of buttermilk and 1.3 cups of oil and stir that together. Then I added about 2 spoonfuls of red food coloring, a dash of cinnamon, and a dash of chili powder, just to give it some nice undertones. And then I'm going to whip that up. Actually, I also added a teaspoon of vanilla, I believe. Anyway, so just kind of beat it up with a fork. Still, I'm actually just going to use this fork instead of a cake mixer to add my dry ingredients, then the flour and all the different dry ingredients that you mixed up, and then just kind of beat those together with using the fork, because the fork kind of gets any lumps out. And yeah, just keep beating as you go, kind of add it in thirds. So this is the second addition. And it should have a really nice, pretty red color. The cocoa powder is going to accentuate the red food coloring, so it'll make it a little bit darker. So just keep beating with the fork until all of the flour mixture is added and you are ready with your batter. So I took 3 round cake pans and greased them with butter, and then put a square of wax paper in the bottom of them, and then kind of greased the inside of the wax paper with butter just to smooth it out, and then trimmed the edges of the wax paper, and then sprinkled some flour on the bottom, and just so they're like greased and floured on the inside. You want to grease the pans before you put the wax paper in, just so that the wax paper actually sticks nice and evenly to it. So we're just going to pop these 3 cake tins in the oven at about 350, and I bake them for about 15 minutes or so until the top springs back nicely, or you can use a toothpick to insert and make sure the toothpick comes out clean. But I just usually touch the top, and you can kind of, if you look closely, you can see it kind of bounce back. You just have to have a good eye for that. But that kind of eliminates having toothpick holes in your cakes. So I'm just popping them in the freezer to chill them for a bit while I get the frosting ready. And the wax paper should look like this when you remove it, just nice and clean. So I'm taking 2 packages of cream cheese, 2 sticks of butter, and a couple teaspoons of vanilla. And I'm gonna just beat that up with my stand mixer. This is a very basic stand mixer. And then I'm just gonna add about 1.5 bags or so of powdered sugar. Just want to make sure to add enough powdered sugar to really give it a thick consistency so that it's not too thin. If it's too thin, then it's going to kind of squeeze out from the cake layers, and you don't want that. So you want it to kind of stand up to the 3-layer cake weight. So I'm going to beat this just a little bit more. I'm adding some more powdered sugar. It shouldn't look that thin. So just keep beating it until it's right. If you don't have enough vanilla, sometimes I will substitute a little dash of nutmeg, because it has a similar flavor to vanilla if it's just in a small quantity. I also added a couple pinches of citric acid to this, or you can add a little small squeeze of lemon juice. I just like that cream cheese tartness to really come through. And with all the powdered sugar, even though there are 2 packages of cream cheese in here and 2 sticks of butter, it's still going to be really sweet. And so I just like a little tang to it. I feel like that just gives it some nice flavor. So I just kind of added, maybe like half a teaspoon or so, third a teaspoon or something of citric acid. So I'm just beating it, and just continue to beat it. Be patient with it. That powdered sugar is going to want to fly out of the bowl, but you want to beat it to the point where it's going to hold a really stiff peak, and be kind of difficult to move that bowl around with the frosting, because you really do want those beaters to be working hard with this. So it should look about like this when you're all the way done with it. So delicious that, of course, the most important part of making cream cheese frosting is taking those beaters out of the mixer and licking one of the beaters. That's your satisfaction right there. So now I'm going to go ahead and frost those chilled cake layers. So I just put one layer on my serving plate, and then I popped it back in the freezer. I'm taking another layer, and then I'm going to pop it in the fridge because I have a tiny freezer, so they're not going to both fit in the freezer. And then the third layer, I'm going to go ahead and frost it. Some people wait to frost it until they put it on the top, but I just like to frost them all. And then stack them, and then I just I don't have like certain spreading tools or whatever. I'm just doing this all with a butter knife. And again, I have not put the cream cheese frosting in the fridge. It's still it's thick, but it's still room temperature, so it will harden up a lot more once it actually chills on the cake. So I'm just going ahead and trying to smooth it out as evenly as I can, and then I just kind of made a little ring with frosting around the border, put a circular plate in the middle, and just sprinkled red colored sugar around. You can also use some of the cake crumbs if you want to take out some cake crumbs for that. And I just kind of made like a little halo of red, and then did a little bit of piping. My piping's not very exact because I didn't have any tips or anything, but it's just, this is a homemade cake, and it is just for taste, and it's just for me. So I hope I have some hair clients to share this with, because whoever's coming over this week, they're going to get offered a slice of cake, because Franklin doesn't eat cake. Langston may or may not eat this cake. It just depends on if he feels like he recognizes it enough to want to try it. He'll probably just eat the frosting. And yeah, but I'm going to enjoy a slice. So that's my red velvet cake. Let me know if you make it any different. And by the way, actually in the wet ingredients, I did also add a tablespoon or so of rice vinegar. I forgot to mention that. So I'll make sure and list all those ingredients in the description so that you have those if you are trying to make this recipe.